The spa lobby was a sanctuary of wealth, marble floors polished to a sheen, fountains bubbling quietly, and the air scented with lavender and white tea. Clients in silk robes lounged on plush seating, sipping cucumber water while attendants moved swiftly, catering to every whispered demand. Then she walked in Samar. She wore a simple cotton dress, sandals that had seen better days, and carried a modest tote bag. She didn't have designer accessories, no oversized sunglasses, no aura of extravagance. She simply walked to the reception desk, her expression calm, her voice polite. "Hello, I'd like to book a massage, please." The receptionist looked up, her eyes flicking quickly over Samira's attire, her polite smile frozen to something colder. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but we're fully booked today." Samira glanced around. The waiting area was nearly empty. "I can wait," she said softly. "I have the whole afternoon." The receptionist's smile tightened. "I'm afraid that's not possible. We're reserved for members and VIP clients only." Samira's eyes flickered with understanding, but she didn't argue. She simply nodded, thanked the woman, and turned to leave. Behind her, two well-dressed women sitting nearby chuckled. Look at her. She'd be better off at a bargain salon." The receptionist laughed along quietly, shaking her head. Samira heard every word, but she kept walking, her posture straight, her dignity intact. She reached into her bag, pulled out her phone, and sent a brief message. "They wouldn't serve me. Said I'm not their type of client." The reply came back almost instantly. "Which location?" She smiled faintly as she typed the address. She knew what was coming next, because while the spa had refused to serve her, they were about to find out who her husband was, and by the end of the week, the entire spa chain would have a new owner. Samira stepped outside the spa, the sun warming her skin as she tucked her phone back into her tote. She wasn't angry, just quietly disappointed. This wasn't the first time her simple appearance had been mistaken for insignificance. But it never ceased to sting. She didn't have to wait long. Less than an hour later, a sleek black car pulled up outside the spa entrance. The door opened, and a tall, sharply dressed man stepped out, his presence commanding but composed. It was Zayon Khan, her husband. Not just any man, but one of the wealthiest investors in the country. His name was synonymous with power in the hospitality and luxury industries, and his decisions could change the fate of an entire brand overnight. The spa staff straightened immediately, receptionist's eyes widening. She recognized him from magazines, headlines, business conferences. Her practiced poise faltered. "Mr. Khan?" she stammered. We didn't expect." Zayn didn't acknowledge her directly. His eyes scanned the lobby until he saw the manager, who rushed forward, flushed and flustered. "Mr. Khan, an honor to have you here. Is there anything we can?" Zayon's voice was calm, but laced with ice. "I'm here because you refused service to a woman this afternoon." The manager blinked rapidly, his mind racing. "Sir, I assure you that woman," Zayon interrupted, "is my wife." The words landed like a hammer. The receptionist paled, her mouth opening then closing, no explanation coming fast enough to save her. Zayon's voice remained steady. "And now I've decided to buy this entire spa chain. The papers are already being drawn up." The lobby fell into stunned silence. He took out his phone, sending a quick message to his legal team. Then he looked back at the staff, his expression unreadable. "You'll hear from us soon. In the meantime, tell me, who is it that's not your type of client?" No one could answer, because in that moment, they all realized the simple woman they dismissed was married to the man who now owned them. The staff stood frozen, their practiced smiles wiped clean by the weight of their mistake. The receptionist, who had so confidently dismissed Samira earlier, looked as though the floor might swallow her whole. She stammered an apology, but Zayon didn't spare her a glance. Instead, he sent one last message to his assistant: complete. The acquisition, effective immediately. Within hours, his legal team mobilized. The spa chain's owners, though stunned by the unexpected buyout, didn't hesitate. The price Zayn offered was too commanding to refuse. By nightfall, the paperwork was underway. By morning, the chain officially belonged to the Khan Empire. The news spread like wildfire across the luxury and hospitality industries. Billionaire acquires entire spa chain overnight after wife was refused service. Social media buzzed with the story of the simple woman who was turned away, only for her husband to purchase the very place that had mocked her. Opinion pieces flooded in about classism, surface judgments, and the folly of underestimating people based on appearance. Meanwhile, back at the same spa location, the atmosphere had changed. The receptionist and manager awaited news anxiously, the weight of their actions pressing on their shoulders. and then the new regional director arrived, sent personally by Zayan. She stood before the staff and delivered the message plainly. Mr. Khan wants you to understand something. You didn't just reject a customer. You rejected humanity. From this day forward, policies will change. Discrimination, appearance, status, or dresses, grounds for dismissal. The staff swallowed hard, knowing their fate hung by a thread. And as for the woman you mocked, the director added, she'll be visiting again soon, not as a guest, but as the new face of this spa's brand standard. They said nothing, because they knew when she returned, it wouldn't be them deciding who belonged. A few days later, Samira returned to the Sponot in a limousine, not in designer clothes, but just as she had before, modest dress, simple sandals, her favorite old tote on her shoulder. At this time, the reception was entirely different. The same receptionist who once dismissed her stood up instantly, her face pale with apprehension. The manager emerged quickly, forcing a nervous smile. Good afternoon, Mrs. Khan, he said, his voice tight with regret. Welcome back. Samira paused, her gaze gentle but steady. Thank you. It's nice to be seen properly this time. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't gloat. But her words carried with a quiet reminder of the dignity that had been denied her just days before as she walked further into the spa. The staff stood straighter, their eyes filled with a mixture of respect and discomfort. They knew exactly who she was now, not just the wife of their new owner, but the woman whose grace had exposed their prejudice. In the lounge, the new regional director greeted her warmly. Mrs. Khan, everything is prepared for your treatment today, but more importantly, we've instituted a new training protocol. Every staff member will now undergo inclusivity and respect workshops. No guest will ever be judged by appearances again. Samira smiled softly. Good, because every person who walks through these doors deserves kindness. The spa, once a symbol of exclusion, was already transforming. Flyers now decorated the lobby, displaying the chain's new motto, "Every guest is VIP." And beneath it, a quote from Samira herself, "Dignity is not worn on the outside. It lives in how we treat others." She didn't need special treatment or grand gestures. All she wanted was simple respect. And now in every branch of the spa, that respect was pallicinate, because she demanded it, but because she inspired it. Word of the spa's transformation spread beyond the walls of the chain. Customers who had once felt unseen and unwelcome now returned, eager to experience the change for themselves. Reviews poured in, not just about the quality of the treatments, but about the warmth, the humility, the dignity now embedded in every interaction and everywhere. People shared Samira's story, a reminder that grace does not wear designer clothes and wealth does not always announce itself with diamonds or silk. Meanwhile, Samira continued living quietly. She had no interest in the spotlight or in reminders of her husband's wealth, but Zayn watched her with quiet admiration, knowing that it wasn't his money that changed the spot, it was her character. At the spa headquarters, a portrait of Samarant, glamorous but natural and serene, was placed in the training room, where new employees learned the chain's core values. Beneath her image, the message read, "Wealth can buy a business, but only respect earns loyalty." Back at the original spa location, the staff worked with renewed purpose. The receptionist who had once dismissed her carried her lesson with humility. She made sure every guest, no matter how they dressed or looked, was treated with equal care. One afternoon, she quietly admitted to a coworker, "I judged someone by their appearance, and I almost lost everything because of it. I'll never make that mistake again." Because they all knew now, the woman they had turned away owned the building, the brand, and more importantly, the respect of everyone who had heard her story. Months later, the spa chain stood as a shining example of transformation, not just in luxury service, but in human dignity. Clients from all walks of life entered without fear of being judged, without feeling invisible. They came because they knew that here, respect wasn't reserved for the wealthy, it was given freely to everyone. Samira continued her life quietly. She always had. She never sought recognition, never flaunted ownership, but her presence lingered in every hallway, in every gentle greeting from the staff, in every new policy that ensured no one else would feel the sting of exclusion. One day, a young attendant asked her, "Mrs. Khan, why didn't you just show them who you were that day? Why not prove your power then?" Samira smiled softly, because dignity isn't about proving anything. It's about showing people who they are when they think no one important is watching. Her words stayed with the staff, etched deeper than any rule book, and as Zayn watched her move gracefully through the spa, He knew he hadn't just married a woman of strength, he had married a woman who changed people without ever needing to raise her voice. Outside the spa doors, a new plaque was installed, a quiet reminder to every guest and employee. Everyone deserves respect, not because of who they are, but because of who we choose to be. And from that day forward, no one who walked into those spas ever felt small again. Because thanks to Samira, the true luxury wasn't in the marble floors or scented oils. It was in the kindness that greeted you at the door.